Hello, sports fans. It is Monday, October the 50th, 2015, and as always, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Great to be back with you guys. Hope you guys had a fabulous weekend and you enjoyed all the games over the weekend. Thankfully, here on the East Coast, we missed the hurricane. It drifted out to sea, so we didn't have to deal with that. Without further ado, let's get to the recap of what went on over the weekend, and then I'm going to go into my NFL and college picks for this week as well. All right, let's start with the Thursday night game, and this was a doozy, where the Baltimore Ravens rally and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 23-20 in overtime in Pittsburgh. Baltimore up to 1-3, Pittsburgh down to 2-2. This was just one of the worst losses in Steeler regular season history. It was that bad. The Steelers are up 20-7 in this game. They had a million chances to win this game. Scobie misses the 2 field goals late. In overtime, Tomlin won't even send Scobie out to try a 50-yard field goal because he lost all confidence in him. The Steelers are going for it on 4th down every time. They're not using Bell. They're trying to be cute with Vic. They get stopped on 4th down twice, and Baltimore ends up pulling the game out of the fire and winning in overtime. Give Baltimore credit. They hung in the game. If Baltimore would have dropped to 0-4, their season was over. Give them all sorts of credit for hanging in the game and winning this game. Pittsburgh, this was an absolutely awful loss for you. Pittsburgh had about 10 chances to salt this game away and could not do it. Scobie now has been cut. The Steelers are now on their 4th kicker. And what was with the play calling from the Steelers? You have one of the best backs in football, Bell, and you're trying to be cute with Vic and having Vic throw the ball and roll out. I mean, come on, give the ball to Bell already. I mean, terrible play calling. And Tomlin, you can't have a kicker on your team that you won't send out there in overtime to hit a 50-yard field goal. And give Tomlin credit for this. He cut Scobie. Give him credit for that. But, I mean, my goodness, the play calling was awful. The coaching was bad. I mean, just a terrible job by the Steelers letting this game get away. And I can't blame Michael Vick. Michael Vick did all he could to win this game. I mean, they gave him a pretty relatively easy playbook. They didn't give him a lot of plays, gave him a lot of short passes. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over. Yeah, he missed a couple of throws, especially in overtime. But I'm not going to put this on Vic. I put this on Scobie. I put this on the play calling. And I put this on Tomlin. I mean, what a terrible loss for Pittsburgh. They could have won this game without Roethlisberger. Their schedule is tough going forward. This was a very, very, very bad loss for the Steelers. Awful loss. They should have had this game won. They had about 10 chances to win this game and let it slip away. So Baltimore gets the win there. Awful loss by the Steelers. Let's go to the Sunday games. Let's go to London where the New York Jets beat up the Miami Dolphins 27-14. Jets up to an impressive 3-1. Miami down to 1-3. First of all, Ivory was running all over Miami yesterday. Ivory 166 yards rushing. He had a tremendous day. Miami as a team had 59 yards rushing, so Miami was getting nothing done on the ground. How about Tannehill yesterday? 19 for 44 and 2 interceptions. That's not good. Miami looks lost. They can't get to the quarterback. They can't stop the run. Tannehill looks lost. I think the coach and the defensive coordinator are going to be fired. This is turning into a nightmare season for the Dolphins. Give the Jets all sorts of credit. The Jets are doing some nice things this year. I like the new coaching staff. I like the hierarchy now for the Jets. Listen, I still don't love their quarterback situation with Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith, but they'll get that rectified in time. The Jets are starting to put together a nice team here. Jets doing a nice job at 3-1. Miami in all kinds of trouble. The coach on the hot seat, defensive coordinator on the hot seat. Sue not getting it done. I mean, Tannehill not getting it done. Miami a complete mess. So the Jets get the win there. Let's go to Indianapolis, where the Indianapolis Colts beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 16-13 in overtime. Colts up to 2-2. Jaguars down to 1-3. Luck didn't play in this game. As the week went on, you were getting worried about Luck. I mean, he started off as questionable and then doubtful, and then he did not play yesterday. Without Luck, the Colts are a completely different team. They had Hasselbeck in the game yesterday. Jacksonville actually had a chance to win this game in overtime with a field goal, but in typical Jacksonville fashion, they missed the field goal. Colts go down on the next possession and get the game winner in overtime. So the Colts do hang on. As bad as the Colts have played, as many injuries as they had, they are 2-2. They're right up there atop the division in that weak division they're in. And Jacksonville, as usual, cannot get out of their own way. Had a chance to win the game in overtime, missed the field goal. Typical Jacksonville. Colts escape with the win. We'll keep an eye on luck as we go forward. Colts have the Thursday night game in Houston this week, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's go up to Buffalo, where the New York Giants had a very impressive win, 24-10 over the Buffalo Bills. Giants up to 2-2, Bills down to 2-2. First of all, I got to start giving some credit to the Giants. I've been all over them preseason, with the whole Pierre-Paul mess, and I didn't think their defense was so great, and then the terrible clock management against Dallas, and they blew the game to Atlanta. I got to start giving the Giants credit. They're 2-2. They could easily be 4-0, and they should probably be at least 3-1. Let's start giving the Giants credit. They do a lot of good things on offense. The defense is really battling. I never thought they'd battle this much. I don't love their secondary, but they're hanging in there. Without Pierre-Paul, they're getting some things done. Let's start to give the Giants a little bit of credit. I've been very hard on them. They could easily be 4-0. At the very least, they could be 3-1. They settled for 2-2, but they have won 2 in a row. Nice job responding as far as the Giants go. As far as they lost the first 2 games in horrific fashion, and they've really responded the last 2 weeks. So nice job by the Giants. Buffalo, listen, the injuries. As the week went on, I was getting concerned about this game. McCoy and Watkins were questionable all week. Neither one of them played. Buffalo needs those playmakers on the field. They can't afford to have McCoy and Watkins sit at the same time. You saw Buffalo struggled mightily on offense yesterday. Need those guys back in the lineup in the worst ways. And what in the world was with the flags with Buffalo yesterday? 17 penalties for 135 yards? Come on, Rex Ryan. You got to coach him up a little better than that. 17 penalties for 135 yards. That's deplorable. Buffalo did nothing on offense. This was the Giants all day yesterday. Giants really controlled this game. Nice win for the Giants. Not a good loss for Buffalo. Need McCoy and Watkins back in the lineup and stop with all these penalties already. So the Giants get the win there. Let's go down to Tampa Bay, where the Carolina Panthers remain unbeaten. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 37-23. Carolina up to an impressive 4-0. Tampa Bay 1-3. Newton did some nice things, had a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions. Winston on the other side, 4 interceptions. Do we need to say any more? Winston is going to have these type of struggles. It should come to a surprise to no one that he had through 4 interceptions yesterday against that good Carolina defense. You had a feeling Carolina's defense was going to carry the day here and cause some turnovers. They did. Tampa Bay, listen, they're not going to be all that great this year. You see how Winston develops as a quarterback, but Tampa Bay is not going to win more than a few games. Carolina's doing a nice job. They lost their best receiver in preseason. They've had to deal with some injuries. Carolina is doing a nice, solid job. Their defense will always keep them in the game, and Cam Newton makes the plays when he needs to. Nice job by Carolina. Let's go down to Washington, D.C., where the Washington Redskins beat the Philadelphia Eagles 23-20. Redskins up to 2-2. Philadelphia down to a very unimpressive 1-3. Washington was doing whatever they wanted early. Eagles had the nice rally to take the lead, but Washington at the end of the game has the big 90-yard drive. Cousins to Garcon with 26 seconds left. Washington wins the game. Nice win by Washington. Nice, gutty, come-from-behind win by Washington. Cousins with the nice 90-yard drive. Washington is showing some signs this year they could be a decent team. And, they could be a decent team this year, Washington. Get Jackson back in. Defense is doing some things. Washington could be decent this year. Philadelphia, what is going on with you? They can't get out of their own way. They can't put anything together, Philadelphia, on a consistent basis. I mean, again, yesterday had the nice comeback. I thought they were going to win this game. They let Washington go 90 yards to have the game-winning drive. So Philadelphia, they better get their act together soon. Now, that division is not all that great with the Cowboys having all these injuries. Cowboys 2-2. Redskins 2-2, Giants 2-2, and as bad as the Eagles played, they're only a game behind at 1-3. So a lot of football will be played, but Philadelphia's got to play better than this. Let's go to Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Chicago Bears beat the Oakland Raiders 22-20. Bears up to 1-3, Oakland down to 2-2. Bears get the game-winning field goal from goal to win the game. Oakland had the lead with 2 minutes to go, but then Cutler, who was questionable in this game, played and had a nice last-minute drive for the Bears. Cutler did some nice things. Fourth down conversion, a couple of nice conversions. I thought Cutler did some nice things, especially down the stretch, getting Chicago into field goal range and letting them kick that game-winning field goal. Chicago finally gets a win. Oakland, listen, you'd like to have this game. Chicago, that's a winnable game. You had the lead with 2 minutes to go. Oakland showing some nice signs this year. Would have liked to have this game, but Chicago gets their first win of the year. I thought Cutler did some good things yesterday. Let's go down to Atlanta, where the Atlanta Falcons just waxed the Houston Texans 48-21. Atlanta, very impressive, 4-0. Texans, very disappointing, 1-3. At one point, what was this game, 42-0? I mean, it was completely out of hand early. It was a complete mess. Atlanta can score on anyone. Their offense is absolutely awesome. Their defense has improved this year. Atlanta is doing a nice job with the new coach. Houston, 4 turnovers. Foster did return yesterday, but their offense stumbling, bumbling, and the defense, which I thought would be their calling card, hasn't been all that great this year. I mean, you figure with Watt leading that defense, their defense will be solid week in, week out. More times than not, Houston's defense has not been good this year, and you know their offense isn't all that great. I mean, you know the quarterback play is spotty, so Houston in all kinds of trouble right now. That division is weak. I don't like what I see at all from Houston right now, though. Atlanta looks very impressive. They can score on anyone. Their offense is a machine right now. Very impressive win for Atlanta. Let's go to the jungle in Cincinnati, where the Cincinnati Bengals get yet another home win. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs 36-21. Cincinnati up to 4-0. I thought Dalton played well yesterday. Kansas City down to 1-3. They are not playing good football at all. Chiefs had 7 field goals in this game. You can't do that in the NFL. You cannot do that in the NFL and settle for 7 field goals for 21 points. That's not going to get it done. When you settle for field goals, you're going to lose the game. That's what Kansas City did yesterday. Give Cincinnati credit for holding Kansas City to all these field goals. They were bending but not breaking Cincinnati. Nice win by Cincinnati. Kansas City's got to get it together. They're 1-3. They're in all kinds of trouble right now. I thought they'd be a little better than this. Nice win by the Bengals. Let's go out to San Diego, where the San Diego Chargers beat the Cleveland Browns 30-27. Chargers up to 2-2. Browns down to 1-3. San Diego hits the game-winning field goal with no time left. They first missed the first field goal, but then Cleveland jumps offside. Typical Browns. San Diego gets a second chance, kicks the game-winning field goal. Listen, San Diego got the win, but they weren't too impressive. I mean, they should handle Cleveland a little easier than this at home. San Diego's got all sorts of issues in the secondary. I just don't love the Chargers. When all's said and done, they're going to be 8-8, and we're going to be underwhelmed by them. Cleveland, listen, it's going to be another long year for you. You just can't get out of your way. Even on the last field goal attempt, you're jumping off sides, giving San Diego another chance. Cleveland battled in this game, but just like Jacksonville, they just find ways to lose, so San Diego gets the win there. Let's go out to San Francisco, where the Green Bay Packers beat the San Francisco 49ers 17-3. Green Bay up to 4-0. They're one of the best teams in football. Niners down to 1-3. They cannot score at all. Their defense played as hard as they could. They battled. The offense can't do anything. You can't win in the NFL with 3 points. They're talking about sitting Kaepernick. I mean, I don't know if that's going to do any good or not. This offense is terrible. Hard to believe this was a team that almost made it to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. They can't move the ball at all. They can't score. They held Green Bay to 17 points. That's a decent job, but they only scored 3. You can't win with 3 in the NFL, so bad job by the Niners. Green Bay, like I said, one of the best teams in all of football. Let's go out to Arizona, where the St. Louis Rams had a very impressive win over the Arizona Cardinals, 24-22. St. Louis up to 2-2. They needed that game in the worst way. Arizona down to 3-1. I thought Gurley played well for the Rams. I thought Foles played well, 3 touchdowns. I mean, this was a nice win for St. Louis. Arizona, 5 trips into the red zone, 4 field goals. They settled for a lot of field goals. Had a chance late, Arizona. They were driving, but Palmer, 2 incompletions on 3rd and 2 and 4th and 2 seals the deal for the Rams. Arizona didn't play their best ball. You kind of had a feeling it was going to be the Rams' day on the opening kickoff when Arizona fumbled the opening kickoff and the Rams immediately went in to take the lead. You had a feeling it was going to be the Rams' day. Much needed win for St. Louis. This is what I thought we were going to get from St. Louis much of the year. Nice win by them. Not a good loss for Arizona, but hey, they are 3-1. They didn't play their best football yesterday. Let's go out to Denver, With the Denver Broncos hang on yet again and beat the Minnesota Vikings 23-20. Broncos up to 4-0. Minnesota down to 2-2. Broncos defense was all over Bridgewater. 7 sacks. I mean, they were all over Bridgewater. The pass rush was unbelievable for Denver. Hillman, the big 72-yard run. Denver hits the game-winning field goal with about 2 minutes to go. Denver, I'll tell you, they've been in close games all year, but they keep winning them. Could have easily lost to Baltimore, pulled that game out. Should have lost to Kansas City, pulled that game out. And yesterday's game was right there, and they pulled that game out. And they're really doing it with their defense. They really stole the game against the Chiefs with their defense. Had the big interception return against Baltimore. And then yesterday, the 7 sacks. They're doing it more with their defense this year. Manning didn't play well at all yesterday. 2 interceptions. But like I said last week, Denver has a good team around Manning where he doesn't have to win the game by himself. So Denver, as usual, you look up, they're 4-0. Minnesota is improving. They're 2-2. They are an improving team. Keep an eye on the Vikings. They look like they're an improving team. They lose a tough game yesterday. And last night, of course, the New Orleans Saints in overtime beat the Dallas Cowboys in the Superdome 26-20. Saints get a much-needed win. They're up to 1-3. Dallas down to 2-2. I'll tell you, this was a wild game. I mean, Dallas had the better of the play early. Then the Saints rallied to take the lead. Dallas converts that big 4th down to tie the game 20-20. Saints at the end of regulation miss a 30-yard field goal, and you're thinking, what's going on here with the Saints? Saints get the ball first in overtime. Right away, Breeze to Spiller. Saints win the game. Nice job by the Saints actually getting a win. I thought they were going to give another game away. Breeze played well. It looked like he was banged up, but he hung in there. Dallas, this was a very disappointing loss. I mean, this was a game they could have won. Dallas is starting to take a lot of injuries now, and I'm not just talking about Roma and Bryant. They're starting to take a lot of guys off the field for Dallas. You know, linebackers, receivers, running backs, they're all going out of the game. Did you see all the guys that left for Dallas? They're starting to get a little thin at a lot of positions. Now, like I said before, this division is wide open. 3 teams at 2-2, 1 team at 1-3. No one's pulling away. So you just got to hold the fort till you get some of these guys back. Dallas taking a lot of injuries, though. And here's another thing. If you're going to show me Jerry Jones 100 times during the game when Dallas scores, show me Jerry Jones when New Orleans wins the game. You got to be consistent there. They show Jerry Jones 100 times during the game, and most times it's when Dallas scores, Dallas is driving, Dallas is doing something well. When New Orleans won the game, I didn't see any shots of Jerry Jones up in the luxury box. Stop showing me Jerry Jones 450 times during the game. I can't take it. You want to show me once, show me he's there up in the booth. Okay, I get it. Don't show me him 550 times. And if you do, be consistent. Be consistent. Don't just show me when he's cheering and things are going well for Dallas. Show me, when things are going badly, when the Saints won the game, and let's see Jones's reaction to that. Oh my goodness, they're obsessed with Jerry Jones. They got to show him 450 times on the sidelines. We get it. He's up in the luxury box. He's at every game. I get it. Please, enough with Jerry Jones already. So the Saints get the win. Dallas has to get some healthy bodies on the field. Of course, New England and Tennessee head off. Tonight you have a ho-hum type of game. Seattle at home in that madhouse against Detroit. I wouldn't expect much from Detroit in this game. You expect Seattle to take care of business. So that was your Week 4 in the NFL. As far as Week 5 in college football, Ohio State had a rally again. They rallied to beat Indiana on the road 34-27. Ohio State is just not playing their best football. They have all sorts of talent. They're just not firing on all cylinders, but they keep winning. Michigan State hung on to beat Purdue. They were up 21-0 early in this game, went to complete sleep, hung on to beat Purdue. So Michigan State, you got to play 4 quarters. How about Florida? Florida just whacked Mississippi 38-10. Florida should have lost to Tennessee last week, had the nice comeback. Tennessee messed up that game completely. Mississippi, everyone tells you, was telling you they're one of the best teams in college football. They beat Alabama on the road. And this was all Florida all day, 38-10. I was shocked by this score. I mean, I could see Florida winning the games in the swamp, 38-10. Mississippi was demolished in this game. Nice job by Florida. TCU just rolled it up on Texas, 50-7. I'm telling you, Strong is in all kinds of trouble for Texas. He better start winning some games or he's going to be gone. Baylor continues to roll up points. They rolled up 63 on Texas Tech. Clemson had the 2-point win over Notre Dame. Clemson had the big lead, almost let it get away in a downpour down in Clemson. I thought Notre Dame made a big mistake going for too early. At 21-9, they went for two and missed it. Should not have went for two there. Came back to bite them. They missed a 2-pointer at the end of the game. Clemson hangs on. Arizona State just rolled over UCLA in the Rose Bowl, 38-23. UCLA's been up and down. They barely beat BYU. Then they go on the road and, whack Arizona. Then they come home and they get demolished by Arizona State, who was blown out by USC. That Pac-12 is wild. So Arizona State gets the win there. How about Alabama? Alabama just smacked around Georgia in Athens, 38-10. You had a feeling Alabama with one loss, they were going to come to play in this game. They were underdog. Very rarely do you see that. Alabama smacked around Georgia. What's with Georgia in the big games? What's with Mark Richt in the big games? He can never win a big game, Mark Richt. I mean, what a performance at home. 38-10. Terrible job by Georgia. LSU continues to win. Florida State struggled, but they won. What else do we have? Oklahoma had the nice win over West Virginia. How about Northwestern? They are 5-0. Nice job by Northwestern beating Minnesota. Northwestern, a really nice defense. Texas A&M remains unbeaten. They beat Mississippi State. Stanford just rolled over Arizona. Stanford is a good quality team. Oklahoma State came back and beat Kansas State. They remain unbeaten. And how about Iowa? How about Iowa? One of my loyal listeners told me during the week he liked Iowa, and he was right on the money. Iowa goes into Wisconsin, beats the Badgers 10-6. Iowa up to 5-0. And when's the last time Wisconsin didn't score a touchdown at home? So nice defensive win there by Iowa. I can't remember the last time Wisconsin didn't score an offensive touchdown in Madison. That's hard to believe, so give Iowa credit. One of my loyal listeners picked Iowa during the week. All credit to him. So Iowa got the win there. Wasn't a great week in college football. Again, hasn't been a great college football season. Even the games you think are going to be great, like Alabama, Georgia, have not turned out to be great. Notre Dame did rally late, but for a lot of that game, Clemson was winning big. A lot of these other games were one-sided. There's just not a lot going on in college football right now. You hope it picks up. This week in college football isn't all that great either. We'll get to that in a second, but it hasn't been a great year in college football so far. But we'll keep an eye on it. A couple other games I actually forgot. Michigan had another shutout. Michigan is really starting to build up with Harbaugh. Keep an eye on Michigan. Cal rallied again. They beat Washington State. Cal remains undefeated. And Cal will be at game day next week at Utah. That's where game day is this week. Cal at Utah. Hard to believe that's your game day game. Did you ever think you were going to get Cal Utah as a game day game this year? I didn't, but that's where game day is heading this year. Another few teams that are doing some really good things. Houston undefeated, Memphis undefeated, Temple undefeated. North Carolina, after losing to South Carolina, they've won 4 in a row. They're 4-1. And then some teams going in the wrong direction. South Carolina looks bad this year. Central Florida 0-5. What happened to them? Georgia Tech 2-3, lost 3 in a row. Herb Street had them in his Final Four. And what about Nebraska 2-3? Did you see how they blew that game to Illinois? You talk about bad clock management. I mean, just awful at the end of that game. Nebraska has a 13-7 lead. They're supposed to be running the ball. They're throwing the ball with under a minute to go. They end up taking no time off the clock. Illinois gets the ball back and goes right down the field and scores. Very bad beginning for new coach Mike Riley, who I liked at Oregon State. He's had a shaky beginning at Nebraska. They totally messed up that game. If you ever want to see bad clock management, go watch the end of the Nebraska-Illinois game. Nebraska totally messed that game up. So that's some of the things going on in college football. As far as Major League Baseball, we are set for the playoffs this week. Playoffs will start tomorrow. The wild card game will be the Houston Astros at the New York Yankees. Houston gets in despite losing yesterday because the Angels lost yesterday as well. Minnesota fell out of it as well. So tomorrow in the American League wild card game, Houston at the Yankees. Winner of that game will play at Kansas City. Then on the other side, you have Texas against Toronto. Toronto has home field. As far as the National League, that will start on Wednesday. Cubs at Pirates in your wild card game. Then the winner of that will go to St. Louis. And then you have the Mets and the Dodgers. And the Dodgers took home field away from the Mets. The Dodgers had a nice last week of the season. The Mets did not. The Mets got swept by Philadelphia, lost a doubleheader to Washington. The Mets blew home field to the Dodgers. So they will start in Dodger Stadium, I believe, on Friday night. That could mean all the difference in this series. Game 5 being in Los Angeles. That should be a tight, low-scoring, great pitching every game. Dodgers really did some nice things getting home field. The Mets may rue the day they gave away home field. So that is your baseball. Okay, without further ado, let's get to our picks for this week. NFL Week 5. There's a few teams that have a bye week this week. Miami has a bye, and they need it in the worst way to get organized. Minnesota has a bye. Jets have a bye, and Carolina has a bye. So you have 4 teams with byes. Also, I'm not going to pick Houston, Indianapolis right now on Thursday night because the game's off the board, and we don't know if Luck's playing. So we're going to put that game aside as well. All right, so without further ado, let's get to our NFL Week 5 picks in the league where they play for pay. And let's get to it right now. And I hate to get to this game, but this is the first game I wrote down. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are home, -3 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do I have to pick this game? I was almost going to eliminate this game completely. Here's what I'll say about this game. Both teams are awful. I think it's going to be a 16-16 tie. Let's leave it at that. I guess you can say I like Jacksonville with the points. 16-16 tie in an awful game. Let's quickly move off that game. Let's go down to Tennessee where the Buffalo Bills are -3 against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee coming off their bye week. Buffalo had the bad loss yesterday to the Giants. Need McCoy and Watkins back in the lineup. I guess they're going to be questionable going into this game. I hope they both play. I hope at least one of them plays. You have to think Buffalo is going to respond here after playing a dreadful game against the Giants, having a million penalties. Tennessee, listen, they're still breaking in a rookie quarterback. Mariota's done some nice things, but come on. You don't trust him on a week-in, week-out basis. And I think Buffalo is just a more complete team right now. Hope they get a couple guys back. I like Buffalo -3 against Tennessee down in Nashville. Let's go to Baltimore, where the Baltimore Ravens are -6.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore, of course, got off the deck. They were looking at 0-4, had the miracle win against the Steelers. Browns found new and creative ways to lose to San Diego. I think Baltimore saved their season and they have new life now, and I think they're going to take advantage of it. They have some winnable games coming up. Now, I don't think Baltimore's great this year, but they always seem to sneak back into the race. I think they will again. I think Baltimore can beat Cleveland. I think they can handle this Brown team, especially at home. So I like Baltimore -6 against Cleveland. I just don't trust Cleveland, especially on the road. The Ravens will have more time to prepare for this game. They had the Thursday game, so they have a long time to prepare. They're home. They have new life. They're rejuvenated. I think they handle Cleveland at home. Baltimore -6 against Cleveland at Baltimore. Let's go down to Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons are -8.5 against the Washington Redskins. Atlanta has been able to score on everyone. They're an offensive machine. Washington has done some decent things, but the one time I picked Washington this year, they laid an egg against the Giants. They couldn't stop the Giants at all. That game still sticks in my mind. Eli did whatever he wanted against that Washington defense. That scares me here because you know Atlanta at home in the Dome, they can move the ball against anyone. Can Washington slow down Atlanta? No one's been able to do it so far, so I'm going to keep riding Atlanta. I've picked them just about every week. They've covered for me every week. I'm going to take Atlanta -8.5 against Washington. Too much firepower for the Falcons. Let's go to Kansas City, where the Kansas City Chiefs are -10 against the Chicago Bears. Of course, Cutler is back. We'll keep an eye on Jeffrey to see when he gets back. We know the Bears aren't all that good. They did win yesterday. The Chiefs are 1-3, and it is now or never for Kansas City. If you can't handle Chicago, who is a bad team in your building, it's going to be the end of the season for you, Chiefs. You already handed a game away to Denver. You're 1-3. You've lost 3 in a row. Let's get it together, Kansas City. I love Arrowhead. That's a very hard place to play. I'm going to ride with Kansas City one more week here. Kansas City -10 against Chicago. Put up or shut up, Chiefs. Speaking of put up or shut up, let's go to Philadelphia, with the Philadelphia Eagles on -4 against the New Orleans Saints. Eagles stumbling and bumbling at 1-3. Saints had a nice win yesterday. Breeze played decently despite being banged up. Saints finally got their first win. The Eagles have to beat the Saints in their own building if they want to do anything this year. Can't go to 1-4. Can't start losing to New Orleans in your building. Eagles, like the Chiefs, put up or shut up time. I think the Eagles will put it up this week. This is a team they can handle. in Philadelphia. It's time the Eagles play a decent game. I think they will here. I'm not a believer at all in New Orleans, despite the win last night. They beat up a banged-up Cowboy team that was carting bodies off the field left and right. I'm going to take the Eagles here. Put up or shut up time. Eagles -4 against the Saints. Let's go to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field in Green Bay with the Green Bay Packers on -10 against the St. Louis Rams. Green Bay is one of the best teams in football. I pick them every week. They've covered every week. Now, I was a believer in the Rams, and the Rams had a nice win yesterday after 2 subpar performances. This is asking a lot for the Rams. You had to go to Arizona. You won. Now you got to turn around and go to Lambeau and play Green Bay. That's tough back-to-back. And Green Bay only had 17 points against the Niners last night. Green Bay is looking to explode and get that offense in gear. Hard to hold Green Bay's offense down 2 weeks in a row. I don't think the Rams can do it. I like Green Bay -10 against St. Louis in the frozen tundra. Let's go to the jungle in Seattle. Cincinnati Bengals and the Seattle Seahawks are pick 'em right now. Of course, we're waiting on what Seattle does tonight and how good they look. Being Seattle's going to be on a short week, and Cincinnati always plays well at home. I'm going to take the Bengals here. The Bengals always play well early in the season. They always play well at home. Seattle has to play tonight. They're going to have a short week. They got to go across the country. Listen, I love Seattle. I know they're going to be there in the end, but this is asking a lot. To play on Monday night, then go and beat a good Cincinnati team on the road on a short week. I like Cincinnati here. Pick 'em over Seattle in the jungle. Let's go to Detroit with the Arizona Cardinals on -3 against the Detroit Lions. Arizona didn't play their best football yesterday in taking the loss. They are 3-1. Detroit hasn't won a game yet. I'm not a believer in Detroit. I don't like their defense. I don't like their team this year. I do like Arizona, and I think coming off a loss, Arizona's going to be angry. They had a chance to win that game late. Let a couple plays slip away. I think Arizona's going to be very motivated to get back on the horse and get back to their winning ways. And I think Detroit is perfect for that. I don't like Detroit at all. I'm not a believer in them. So I like Arizona -3 against Detroit, up in Detroit. Let's go to the Big D in Dallas with the New England Patriots at -7.5 against the Dallas Cowboys. New England coming off a bye week. Dallas, like I said, they are carting bodies off left and right for Dallas. And I like Dallas's team. When they're healthy, they're one of the better teams in the NFC. But without Romo and Bryant and now all these other injuries, they took a bunch of other injuries yesterday. I mean, concussions, hamstrings, leg injuries. And then you're going up against New England, who scores on everyone. New England's been putting up a massive amount of points this year, coming off a bye. This is asking a lot for Dallas to slow down New England. I can't take Dallas here. I just can't do it. I got to take New England here to score early and often and beat this depleted Dallas Cowboy team down in Jerry Jones Stadium. I like New England -7.5 against Dallas. Let's go to the black hole in Oakland, where the Denver Broncos are -5.5 against the Oakland Raiders. This is turning into an interesting game. Oakland, after playing terrible in Week 1, has looked better the last 3 weeks, although they did lose to Chicago yesterday. Denver finds new and creative ways to win each and every week. They just do. To me, it's all about Denver's defense. Denver's defense should harass Carr in this game. I like Denver's corners. I like their pass rush. They were a little better running the ball yesterday, Denver. You know Manning is going to do some things. He didn't play well yesterday. I still don't trust the Raiders, and I do trust the Broncos, especially in the regular season. Broncos always seem to beat the Raiders, especially in recent years. I got to still go with Denver here until proven otherwise. I'll take Denver -5.5 against Oakland out in the black hole. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Not too far from here, with the New York Giants are -7 against the San Francisco 49ers. Two teams going in opposite directions. The Giants have won 2 in a row and have looked good doing it. Could be 3-1, could be 4-0, doing some really nice things. The Niners look dreadful. They're 1-3. They've lost 3 in a row. They might change quarterbacks. They can't score. I can't take the Niners here. I can't do it. They just can't. They can't score. And the Giants have played decent football this year. They really have. I got to take the Giants here. -7 at home against the Niners. I cannot take the Niners. They may not even play Kaepernick. You don't know what you're getting from the Niners on offense. They may get 6 points in this game. I'll take the Giants there. They're just playing better right now. In the Monday night game, The San Diego Chargers at home, -3.5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both teams 2-2. Both teams frenetic. Steelers, with Roethlisberger out. To me, when I look at this game, I think it's a field goal game. Either way, the Chargers always play crazy games. I think the Steelers will be angry they let that game slip away last week. I think Vic, maybe they add some more plays to his repertoire, let him do some more things. I think this is a field goal game either way, so I'm going to take Pittsburgh +3.5 at San Diego. Very close game. You don't really know what you're going to get from either one of these teams. San Diego's up and down. Pittsburgh without Roethlisberger, who knows? Let's say it's a field goal game. I'll take the Steelers +3.5 at San Diego. So in review, again, for Week 5, Miami, Minnesota, Jets, and Carolina are off. I'm not picking Houston, Indianapolis right now because we don't know about luck on Thursday night. I like Jacksonville and Tampa Bay to tie in just a dreadful game, so I guess you could say I like Jacksonville +3 at Tampa Bay. I like Buffalo -3 at Tennessee. I hope McCoy and Watkins get on the field. I like Baltimore at home -6.5 against Cleveland. I like Atlanta at home -8.5 against Washington. Too much firepower for Washington. I like Kansas City at home -10 against Chicago. Put up or shut up time for Kansas City. Same thing with the Eagles at home, -4 against New Orleans. I like the Eagles, put up or shut up time for them. I like Green Bay at home, -10 against St. Louis. Green Bay is one of the best teams in football. Hard back-to-back for St. Louis here. Can't expect them to win at Arizona and then at Green Bay. I like Cincinnati at home. Pick them against Seattle. Short week for Seattle. Got to go to the jungle. Very tough game, but I'll go with the Bengals there. I like Arizona -3 at Detroit. I don't like Detroit at all. I do like Arizona. I like New England -7.5 at Dallas. Dallas is way too beat up right now. Too many injuries, and New England could score on anyone. I like Denver -5.5 at Oakland. Just trust Denver a little more now than I trust Oakland. Still don't trust Oakland. As you saw yesterday, lost to a bad Chicago team. I like the Giants at home -7 against the 49ers. Giants are playing decent football. The Niners are going in the wrong direction. And I like Pittsburgh +3.5 at San Diego. Should be a crazy game. Should be a field goal game. So I'll go with the Steelers there. So that is my picks for Week 5 in the NFL. As far as my Week 6 picks for college football, hard to believe we're in Week 6 of college football season. Do you realize we're almost halfway through the college football regular season already? That's crazy. Where did the month of September go? It just flew by. All right, here's my games in a light schedule for college football this week. It is a really light schedule. I'll give you a couple of games. First game, Oklahoma -16 against Texas. This is the Red River Shootout. They play this game in Dallas. Half the crowd is Oklahoma, half the crowd is Texas. The Texas State Fair with the big Ferris wheel is right outside. Always a fun game. You love the atmosphere of this game with the 50-50 crowd. Very few games are like that anymore. Georgia, Florida is another one. Not too many more. So the atmosphere is great. The problem with this game this year is Texas is awful. They just got pasted by TCU 50-7. Texas is 1-4. Oklahoma has one loss. They can't afford any more losses. Oklahoma should whack Texas in this game. I have no faith in Texas. They lost by 43 points last week, and they had players in the locker room tweeting they wanted to transfer to Texas A&M. It's all falling apart for Charlie Strong. He may not survive. He may not get past this year. Oklahoma lays it on Texas. Oklahoma has a good defensive team. They'll get their points. Oklahoma all day in the Red River Shootout. Oklahoma -16 against Texas in Dallas. Pick number 2, let's go to Iowa, where the Iowa Hawkeyes are -10 against the Illinois Fighting Illini. Iowa made believers out of me last week when they went into Wisconsin and beat the Badgers 10-6. Didn't let Wisconsin get into the end zone in their home stadium. Iowa's 5-0. They play really well at home. I don't love Illinois. I know they beat Nebraska, but Nebraska gave away that game. Really tough spot for Illinois here, going on the road to Iowa City. I like Iowa here to win pretty comfortably. I like Iowa -10 against Illinois. That's pick number 2 from Iowa City. Pick number 3, let's go down to Knoxville, Tennessee, where the Georgia Bulldogs are -3 against the Tennessee Volunteers. Georgia got smacked around at home by Alabama. Tennessee has fallen on really hard times. Lost again last week. Lost to Arkansas, a game they were winning. Let that game slip away. Let the Florida game slip away. Let the Oklahoma game slip away. Tennessee had 3 winnable games. Lost them all. I'm going to reluctantly take Tennessee and say they finally figure it out at home. I'm getting 3 points here. They are home. I think Tennessee finally figures out how to win one of these close games and beats Georgia. I just don't trust Georgia. I didn't like what I saw from them at all last week when Alabama beat them up. It's a tough game. If you like Georgia, I couldn't argue with you. I'm going to say Tennessee finally figures it out in the Orange Nation, upsets Georgia. Tennessee +3 against Georgia in Knoxville. Let's go to Tempe, where the Arizona State Sun Devils are -15 against the Colorado Buffaloes. Listen, Arizona State is an up-and-down team. They look awful one week. They look good the next. I've been consistent with them. I usually take them at home and don't take them on the road. They're usually a bully team at home, especially against lesser competition. Colorado is not a good team. Oregon pounded them last week in Boulder. Arizona State likes to bully these type of teams. And Arizona State's coming off the nice win against UCLA. They will bully Colorado here in Tempe. I like Arizona State -15 against Colorado in Tempe. Let's go to Death Valley, Clemson, where the Clemson Tigers are -7 against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Clemson, the big win against Notre Dame. They're in the hunt for the Final Four playoff, have a chance to go undefeated. Georgia Tech has been an absolute wreck this year, and not in a good way. They've lost 3 in a row. They're falling to pieces. Herb Street had them in his Final Four. I mean, are you kidding me? I like Clemson here. No one goes into Death Valley and wins. Georgia Tech has lost 3 straight. Make it 4 straight. I like Clemson all day in this game to score a lot of points. Clemson -7 against Georgia Tech in Death Valley. Let's go to Columbia, Missouri, where the Florida Gators are -4 against the Missouri Tigers. Florida's making a believer out of me. They're undefeated. They had a nice win against Mississippi where they just demolished Mississippi after they had the come-from-behind win against Tennessee the week before. I don't love Missouri at all. They already lost to Kentucky this year. I don't like this Missouri team at all. Could have easily lost to UConn at home. I think Florida wins this game. Their defense dominates the day. I like Florida -4 against Missouri in Columbia. Let's go to Philadelphia, where Temple is home, -15 against Tulane. Temple is undefeated and doing some really nice things. And I know Tulane beat won last week, but they beat a team that's 0-5. Tulane is not a good team. They will not beat Temple. Temple will run it up in Philadelphia in this game. I like Temple -15 against a bad Tulane team. And the big game of the day, this is where College Game Day is, believe it or not. That shows you what a light schedule it is. And not to take anything away from these two teams, but it's not a great week in college football. Utah at home, -7 against Cal. Both teams undefeated. Both teams, have big aspirations this year now. Utah thinks they can get to the Final Four playoff and, win the Pac-12. Cal ever wins this game, they may think the same thing. I got to like Utah in this game. Cal can score, but they give up a lot of points, and Utah's front is ferocious. They can really get after you. Utah will make enough stops in this game to slow down Cal just enough, and Utah will put up points in this game. Cal gives up points to everyone. They'll give up points here, and Utah's defense is just better than Cal's, and Utah always wins at home. They never lose at home. Utah -7 at home against Cal. That's where College Game Day will be in a light schedule in college football. Couple of the games I didn't pick you might want to keep an eye on. TCU at Kansas State, Oklahoma State at West Virginia. I mean, you got Arkansas at Alabama. You want to keep an eye on Alabama. Miami at Florida State. I mean, it used to be a great rivalry. Now it's been all Florida State lately. You might want to keep an eye on that. And Northwestern at Michigan, very interesting game. Northwestern undefeated. You're going to see how good Northwestern is this week when they go to the Big House. Michigan, of course, only 1 loss. Michigan has pitched back-to-back shutouts. We'll see how good Northwestern is this week. So you got a couple games. I mean, Utah-Cal is decent. I mean, Michigan-Northwestern is decent. I mean, you want to keep an eye on Clemson to see if they can remain unbeaten. A couple of these other teams. It's not a great week in college football, though. It's just not. It's just an okay week. There hasn't been really a tremendous week in college football. You hope it picks up. I guess it will as we roll on here. So that's where you are in college football this week. Those are your picks. Let's review the college football one more time, actually. I like Oklahoma -16 against Texas in Dallas. I like Iowa at home -10 against Illinois. I like Tennessee in Knoxville +3 to upset Georgia. I like Arizona State at home minus 15 against Colorado. I like Clemson at home minus 7 against Georgia Tech. I like Florida minus 4 at Missouri. I like Temple at home minus 15 against Tulane. And I like Utah at home minus 7 against Cal. Those are my picks for college football in a light schedule this week. There you go, as I'm losing my voice here. There you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. You got your baseball players starting this week. You got all your college and NFL, which, the NFL kicks off on Thursday. We'll keep an eye on Luck and see if he plays on Thursday night. You got a lot of football coming up this week, and you got your Major League Baseball players. And believe it or not, hockey will be starting soon. NBA basketball will be starting soon. Hard to believe NBA and college and NHL hockey are starting soon. Unbelievable how fast the time goes by now. All right, there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. You have your picks for this week. You guys stay happy, healthy, and safe. Thanks as always for the support. You guys are great. I will talk to you very, very soon. Pick a lot of winners this week. Make a lot of money. Talk to you soon. Take care.